Sup everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about Nilou, and boy oh boy do I have something to say about just how she performs right now. And it's not really anything bad, to be honest with you guys. From the testings that I've done with my viewers account, again, I am not summoning for Nilou. I still don't think I want to summon for a character that can't function at her full potential without the need of Nahida. So I'm going to be getting Nilou on her rerun most likely. I'm going to want to get Nahida first, see how she fits with a bunch of other characters, and going forward how that's going to play out. But right now, as we're talking about Nilou, I have some great news for everybody, okay? So for the people, the few people who are going to pick up Nilou for themselves and then pick up the Dendro Archon, consider yourselves snagging up one of, I want to say, potentially the second best character to release in Sumeru. I know there's a ton more Sumerian characters coming down the line, but I just want to say Nilou's role in the game is extremely unique and in a way irreplaceable. Alright, so what's the deal with that? And how broken is that? Does that change the game? Find out as we get into the video. So starting from the very beginning, the setup that I had with Nilou on the viewer's account was 2-piece Tenacity and 2-piece Wanderer's Troop. Okay, so that's what we were running with, and we were able to get Nilou to level 90 and her weapon to level 80. So that's basically what we were working with here. Now, apart from that, the rest of the team was Kokomi, the Dendro MC, and of course Kale. Now, to be quite frank with you, is that the best team? I want to say yes, because currently, as what we have available to us, we need these two Dendro characters who excel at applying Dendro off you, and that is extremely important because if you want to play Nilou, air quote, you will want to take advantage of her Super Bloom. I know people call it like what, Bountiful Bloom or whatever, but I'm going to call it Super Bloom. Everybody understands it, and there's something quite unique about Super Bloom. In fact, Nilou is the only character in the game right now that is able to take a reaction and elevate it, right? So with all the reactions in the game right now, this is the thing that interests me the most. Does that mean in the future there's going to be Super Vaporize, Super Electrocharge? All these reactions has now the potential to be elevated into something different, a more powerful version, or not just more powerful, but like a more unique version. But at the same time, that comes with restrictions. And for Nilou, she can only be paired in teams with Hydro and Dendro if you want to play with Super Bloom. That doesn't mean you cannot play her in traditional teams. I'm sure there are some like weird nuke teams that people are playing with her burst, considering Vaporize still has the best scaling in the game damage-wise, just like Melt. So then, for Nilou, what did I think? First impressions of Nilou is incredibly good because she just seems so easy to play for the most part, and she doesn't end up obstructing the team in a way that I thought she was going to be. In fact, Nilou plays very similar to an off-field carry, but she's not an off-field carry because she herself doesn't bring the damage. She brings the mechanic to the table. Without Nilou, you cannot play Super Bloom, but she herself isn't the one doing that damage. It's pretty crazy if you think about it. She essentially is an enabler, and that's quite odd in a character that is Nilou, because you need to use 3 of her elemental skill to activate the aura for your team, in which then Super Bloom can occur, but she herself does not need to be on field for Super Bloom to occur. And this is where Nilou teams gets really interesting. For the most part, Nilou isn't actually on field. Apart from her 3 elemental skill, you're going to switch to your Dendro characters and immediately drop that Dendro field, be it the Dendro MC or Kale. Just drop that immediately. Then you can go back to Nilou, use her burst, and finally you end up actually on Kokomi. So essentially Kokomi in this team plays yet again a driver position. Honestly, it kind of blows my mind a little bit how a character like Nilou, being so unique, ended up being essentially another Kokomi buff. Really, people, if you look at it, Kokomi is extremely good as she currently is, but on top of now Nilou requiring a second Hydro character, and also there's no Dendro healer or Dendro shielder, you essentially have to bring a healer or shielder from the Hydro category. And if we think of healers, who is the best healer with also arguably the best off-field Hydro application? Kokomi. And that's why Kokomi fits so seamlessly into this team composition. Now, for people who are thinking of Yelan, well, Yelan could kind of work, but the problem with Yelan is she has no infusion in her attacks, and you have to rely on her elemental skill or her burst skill to apply Hydro, which just isn't as consistent. Whereas you can drop Kokomi's Jellyfish, her auto attacks are already Hydro infused, and you can go into her burst state, refresh her Jellyfish, and get more empowered Hydro attacks. Finally, when her burst end, you can then use her elemental skill again. It's just too perfect not to use Kokomi. But of course, I understand not everybody has Kokomi, and this is definitely not something being like, oh, you have to use Kokomi. That's why I want to say Nilou is actually very free-to-play friendly, because Barbara actually works here. Like, you guys, I'm losing my mind a little bit, because judging by how Nilou synergizes with Kokomi, it leads me to conclude that she can synergize with Barbara just as well. At the end of the day, you just need somebody who can apply the Hydro so you can get the Super Bloom activated. It doesn't have to be Kokomi. It doesn't have to be the Jellyfish. And I'll be honest with you guys, do you even need Nahida to make Nilou feel good? I don't think so, because just with this team, and I would argue even with Barbara teams, you are going to be able to crush through at least this iteration of the Abyss. Super Bloom is a reaction that is insanely good with grouped enemies, or just a lot of enemies. You don't even need them to be grouped. This is also another thing for Nilou that I really think free-to-plays or just low spenders can really consider, because with this team, you are essentially now actually forced to not use a Nemo. I know the reliance of a Nemo is like a hard drug at this point to people. I can't play the game without a Nemo. Well, Hoyoverse is like, we're gonna have to force you to not use a Nemo. And this is the situation, right? You can't bring a Nemo if you want to play Super Bloom. If you bring a Nemo, then you're just gonna play maybe a traditional Vaporize or a Hydro carry team. So without a Nemo, you need Super Bloom to deal with the amount of enemies that some of these Abyss chambers have, like Abyss 12-1, the one that I've been showcasing on screen. Super Bloom just eats that chamber alive, people. It's actually insane, and it's not like these characters are insanely built as well. Like Kale was level 70, you know, some of these characters just aren't as cracked out as they can possibly be, and Super Bloom was just demolishing the mobs. And I'm telling you right now, Nahida, once she drops, is gonna make Nilou even more powerful. If Nahida gives enough Dendro application as well as buffing, we might be able to drop one of the Dendro characters for someone like Yelan that drives even more Hydro, more damage, and Nilou teams could really reshape the meta in Sumeru going forward. Right now, they're an amazing option. I want to say they're one of the best teams available, both for low spenders, free-to-plays, and maybe even whales who can C6R5 her. She's gonna crush through this iteration of the Abyss. Alright, it's literally made for her. The Abyss right now buffs Elemental Mastery for her team, and also with the Dendro Resonance, Hydro Resonance, everything just leans too perfectly into Nilou. Now, if you haven't gotten the message yet, I'm extremely impressed by Nilou's performance, especially in a grouped environment or AoE environment. Now let's talk a little bit about bossing, right? With bossing, it's not like she's bad. She definitely was designed for like massive AoE damage with a bunch of monsters and a bunch of explosions all over the place. That's all fine and dandy. But the thing with bossing is that she's not too shabby either, right? With bosses, you could actually just utterly destroy them as well, because you're gonna be running double Hydro. You're gonna have a bunch of beefy characters on field. Yeah, you don't have shielders, but right now you have Kokomi on the team, or you have Barbara. You're going to be running a Nilou that's like close to like 50k plus HP. And you're going to be face tanking everything with Kokomi, and even if things don't go well, you can just pop Kokomi's burst and everything's gonna be fine. I'll be quite honest with you, like sometimes I don't even know where the damage is coming from. It's just explosions all around me and the enemies are just dying. I don't even have time to see what the hell's going on. But I think at the end of the day, that's what makes this team kind of satisfying. I don't know how many people have had the chance to try Nilou, but if you haven't, go into the testing feature. Again, I'm not here to recommend you to pull for her. I myself am still skipping her even after all the praises I've just showered Nilou. I'm still going to be skipping her because I want to see what Nahida can do. It's not like I can't beat the content. I simply don't need another insane character that I'm going to play maybe for a couple patches and then drop because I got bored. Very likely I'll pick her up on the rerun. But what do you guys think? Honestly, I think Nilou is one of the better characters released in recent times, well, apart from Yelan. She feels more impactful to the game state than someone like Ayato, but at the same time, she doesn't utterly break certain damage meters and thresholds like Yelan C6. All in all, she's likely one of the better free-to-play characters released to date, in my opinion. I can see a world where free-to-plays can pick her up and use Super Bloom to amazing effects all throughout the contents available in the game. At the end of the day, like I said, Nilou feels more like an enabler than like a support DPS. She's definitely not an on-field DPS, at least not traditionally or the way she's designed to be played. I'm sure she can deal a ton of damage on field through like a crazy buffed up team with Kazuha, and then you try to do Vaporize with her or something like that. But that's not the point of this character. She's made and built for Super Bloom. And that's all I'm going to say for now. I'm going to be testing more teams and contents with Nilou alongside the viewer, and hopefully we can bring you guys more insight in the coming days, especially some really good free-to-play team recommendations. Alright, stay tuned for those videos. Tune into my live streams as well. We're going to be playtesting Nilou even more. So until next time, urge y'all to stay safe and peace. Bye.